Computer networking is the concept of describing the process of interconnecting computers that are physically placed in the same or different place. In this way, computers connected to each other can transfer messages, data, videos, and audios according to certain rules. This set of certain rules are called protocols. General description of protocol is the system of rules and acceptable behavior used at official ceremonies and occasions. We can say that a kind of ceremony is held at every stage of communication in computer networks. With the ceremony, different types of devices produced by different brands introduce themselves to computer network and send a data packet to a target computer network device. Target device accepts this data packet and communication continues depending on the protocols. The largest network structure that enables the largest public wide area network to communicate with each other is also called internetworking or Internet. The Internet allows the computer networks around the world run by any type of organizations such as companies, governments, universities to talk to one another. The result is a mess of wired and wireless medias, computers, routers, switches, servers, satellites, and radio links that allows communication all around the world. The local area network, which is a LAN, and wide area network, which is WAN, form the basic structure of the network. LAN is a group of network devices attached with a limited geographical area such as homes, offices, or campus, which owns by one organization. The simplest form of LAN is a connection between two of your computers with wired or wireless media within a house. In most cases, LAN is a form of network to share resources like printers, scanners, game servers, and files within a limited geographical area. WAN is an essential computer network extends a large geographical area such as covers cities, provinces, and countries, which is not owned by one organization. As you see that WAN is comparatively much larger than LAN with a complex setup with high-end telecommunication circuits. Computers connect to their LAN can thus connect to the Internet and perform their computes in the cyber world. Computer network is a set of computers that use common communication protocols over LAN or WAN to communicate with each other. These communications are provided by using wired media such as copper or optical and wireless media such as Wi-Fi, LTE, radio link, or satellite methods. By using network protocols and communication infrastructures, computers, servers, switches, routers, and modems send and receive data. With what we have talked about so far, we also talked about active and passive network devices in a sense. An active network device uses electrically powered equipment or components to route the signal from one place to another like computers, servers, switches, routers, and modems. Active network devices route the data signals by using ports. We talked about ports in our previous topics. These active devices route the data signals to a target active network device by using host and target addresses like letters or phone calls. Passive network device also uses electrically powered equipments or components but has no capacity to route the signal. It receives the signal and transmits without making any changes from one place to another by using copper optical wire medias or wireless medias. Host and target network devices have host and target addresses such as IP address and MAC addresses. IP address is the short form of Internet Protocol address. Every connected device has their own IP address. Because IP address is an identification number, computers are recognized by IP addresses and data is sent to these IP addresses. You can think of the IP address as the address of your computer where it is currently located LAN. Your IP address may change when you connect to different LAN. It's like your computer gets a different IP address when you're at home and a different IP address when you're at work. In computer networks, MAC addresses are also used in addition to the IP addresses to send and receive the data. MAC address is the short form of Media Access Control address. Every connected devices have their own MAC address, because MAC address is another identification number like IP address. But unlike the IP address, your computer's MAC addresses do not change when you connect to a different LAN. Let's take the previous example again. When your computer is connected to a different LAN, its IP address will be changed, but your computer MAC address not change for both connections. Your computer has the same MAC address when you are at home or when you are at work. As you can see, the MAC address is like a citizenship ID number that identifies you in the real world. MAC address identifies your computer on the internet. If a cyber criminal knows your computer's MAC address, they can detect and track you when you connect to computer network. MAC addresses are given at the manufacturing stage and theoretically cannot be changed. Of course, everything is not as in theory. MAC addresses can also be changed in reality. Just like a different computer could copy your computer's MAC address and receives and analyzes data packet that should come to you. These type of criminal attacks are also called man-in-the-middle attack. The data packet that sends by using the IP and MAC addresses goes to the gate of the target computer. But how does the target computer get this data for using? Here we can now talk about ports. A port is a virtual point where network connections open and closed for each active network devices. This virtual connection is established between the active devices before data transfer takes place. Data transfer is carried out mutually, and after the data transfer is finished, the virtual connection is closed. You can think of ports as a virtual gates to virtual paths of cyber world. There are 65,536 possible port numbers, although not all are in common use. In other words, when you connect your computer to the internet, 65k virtual gates become available. One point you should pay attention to: port numbers start from 0 and end 65,535. You can think of firewall as a port controller that keeps unused ports closed and under the control of 65k virtual ports. Ports are software-based and managed by computer's operating system. Each port is associated with a specific process or service. Ports allow computers to easily differentiate between different kinds of traffic. Emails go to a different port than web pages, for instance, even though both reach a computer over the same internet connection. We can summarize the basis of cybercrime is being able to enter the victim's computer using these ports and by addressing MAC and IP addresses. Do not forget that if your door is open and your place is not secure, cyber criminals will enter in. Keep your door closed and hide your addresses to avoid the cyber criminals. Let's briefly examine the image on the screen. Think of the three computers on the right as the computers you use in your home. Each computer has different IP addresses and MAC addresses. This is how computers are separated from each other in the cyber world. Depending on the type of service connected over the internet, different port numbers, which means different virtual ports, are used. If the server you want to connect provides HTTP service, which is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, you will get the service by going on port 80, which is virtual gate number of the server. Using port 80 indicates that the server is providing the HTTP service. If the server you want to connect to provides HTTPS service, which is Secure Hypertext Transfer Protocol, you will get the service by going to port 443, which is virtual gate number of the server. Using port 443 indicates that the server is providing the secure HTTP service. For example, if you type www.google.com in your web browser, when you want to connect to the Google homepage, you may have noticed that you are connecting from HTTPS port, not the HTTP port. When you want to send email, you connect to port 25 of the mail server that provides SMTP, which is Simple Mail Transfer Protocol service, and send your email. As you can see, different server services are used for each different internet services. Different port numbers are also used for such frequently used different server services. The port numbers used for such frequently used services are called well-known port numbers. Well-known port numbers cover the first 1024 ports out of a total of 65k ports. Now we are ready to talk about how does the internet works. Client and server architecture is the architecture that defines today's most general internet service structure. Client is a computer that connects to internet, and server is a computer also that connects to internet. Server is having the different services stored in a large capacity computer. As you see that both are the computers, but there are some key differences in terms of operating systems and hardware. Here is some basic differences based on number of connected ports. A server operating system is designed to handle up to thousands of concurrent connections and processes depends on the hardware capacity. For Windows 10 and 11 operating system, concurrent connection limit is 20. For Mac operating system, concurrent connection limit is 20. Windows Server 2019 have no connection limit, but concurrent connection limit is 65,536 theoretically. A server can establish as many concurrent connections as the number of ports it has. A server will have high memory capacity that depends on the number of concurrent connections. Depends on the concurrent connections, server can often have much more network connections to allow these simultaneous connections. A server will use specific multiple processor, each having multiple cores. Because server processor can handle massive amount of processes and storage capacities than clients. Server's hardware structure have huge pipelines to working on large amount of data. Servers are connected to the internet with the help of ISP, Internet Server Providers, and will be identified with the IP addresses. When computers want to get service by connecting to the server over the internet, PC get this service through ISPs by using the domain names and IP addresses. Workstations are also used for using these services. Workstation is a computer designed for professional use by the single user. It has more capacity than a personal computer, but is not as high-powered as a server that is designed to support very complex calculations and multiple users.